fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going with the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up to
Oh my God! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get full!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, here we go! Oh no!
That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
This is one of those series which every which way you start to look, you start to twist, you start to turn, you start seeing that there is no sense of consistency in terms of just how different this championship can be. You look every which race, the form book changes once again, and every single championship point becomes a huge scrap, claw, grind to try and get. We're at the new track here with iRacing. We're at Barcelona here for some brilliant racing action with the Parramatta Isuzu Ute. Brilliant AOSC series. It's Jake Sperry here in the commentary box, joined, of course, with Ryan Jones and, for a little bit of time, special guest Brenton O'Brien. Ryan, we're going to bring you into the conversation first, though. Very tough track here today. Always going to be a killer on tyres. Always going to be one of those tracks where overtaking is going to be more difficult than others. But it is one of those tracks which has been arguably needed on the iRacing service for a long time.
Yeah, good evening everyone, and you're exactly right. They're newest track to the iRacing service on the roadside Barcelona, which means these drivers haven't had too long to get accustomed to this racetrack, but I think by now, 7 rounds into the season or so, they should have had a fair bit of experience around here in a variety of different cars, but it is a tricky track. The main overtaking spot is down at turn number 1. After that long run from the starting grid, which will be very important in this race too, and they do eventually get underway at the end of quali, 560 metres from the start grid to turn 1, and then the end of the back straight is the other fantastic overtaking opportunity. Other than that, it's very tough to get anything done.
We've been keeping a look at Andrew Gilliam here in the Pursuit Sim Racing cars. He runs wide at the former Elf Corner turn 5 and he goes through. We're on board now with Jordan Ross, and we'll bring team boss of Evolution Racing Team Brenton O'Brien into the conversation. The track temperature at the moment is, I would say, quite cold, so to speak. But this is going to be a tough challenge, I think, for a lot of drivers to get right as Jordan Ross abandons lap. This is one of those tracks where you have to string a lap together more rather than get away with a few sections. How difficult is it to put a lap together around here, Brenton, knowing the fact that these corners don't cost the 1/10 of a second that others do, but more rather the 2, 3 and 4s?
Yeah, so, and good evening all. So track temp of 26, which compared to what it's been, throughout the week, it's actually really, really cool. So it's the first time we've really run, this long a race here, and there's a great unknown with it. I know you're saying it's hard with tyres and all that, but the testing so far, and it's only been light testing, shows that, you're right, the tyres will be absolutely crucial here. And as you said, each corner just seems to have that much more emphasis with you get it right or wrong. Grand Prix track's been used many a year, obviously. Testing's very popular here with the F1s, but it's such a technical track for the V8s, and really looking forward to this race.
Well, everyone looking forward to getting some good times. Carl Stokes currently on your screen at the moment. 12 minutes and under now remaining in session as he makes his way through the second sector, through turn 7, and then up the hill using all the curb of turn number 8 before you get this big off-camber right-hander, turn number 9. Always got to try and hug the curb on entry and on exit as well. Huge wiggle on that exit as well. 2 stages of correction before dealing with traffic on the racing line before hitting the brakes into La Caixa, turn number 10. And this is the big braking corner. Of course, no rallycross layout as of yet, but you can always hope, and it looks like it's partially scanned into this iRacing service already through big turn number 12. And then you've got the new section, 13, 14, 15, into the final turn 16. This very slow left-right section, always able to have a cheeky dive if you want to. Bit of ERT traffic in front, so this will be an abandoned lap from Kyle Stokes. He'll look to set a lap time in front. Jordan Ross there as well, looking to try and gain in the championship. Surprised us, though, in terms of who's up there at the moment here, because Richard Hampstead has decided he wanted to turn up and play here today, Ryan, and he finds himself in second position, 2/10 off of what he needs.
Yeah, good to see Richard Hampstead back in the AOSC series today. As you can see him heading around the turn number 5 on the track and into turn 6 in a moment. 2/10 is probably, as you mentioned earlier, mistakes around here cost you 2 or 3 tenths instead of 1/10. So one mistake he might have made on that lap has cost him what would be provisional pole. Still over half the session, still to come though. So plenty of time to find improvement. The issue that they may find is the track could get a couple degrees hotter, and being 8:48 in the morning sim time, you would expect that track to get just a little bit hotter. Whether it does over the course of the next 10 minutes could be crucial for qualifying. It has gone up a degree since we started talking, so it's track evolution.
Well, it certainly will be as good as possible, as my computer decides it does not want to work at this point in time. So we'll see how that one plays out for the moment. But we're going to get ourselves looking at the vehicle. Actually, we've just seen a driver move up, and that's James Scott, who's gone up into 6th position. Probably one of the biggest gainers at the moment when it comes to this style of racing. He has really improved over the last 2, 3, 6 months even, and we've seen that development. We've got Brenton O'Brien here. Brenton, just how important has that development been for James Scott? He's gone from a driver who has been populating in and around the top 20s, and over the last year or so, he has been a driver who now can challenge for race victories.
I'd say it's almost been more restricted than that, to be honest with you. So we're really looking forward to the next round of the Premier Series, which will be at Silverstone next week, because take away from what the Enduros have had, it will actually be the first time since his improvement. Like, it's been a rapid improvement over the last month and a half, 2 months. So really looking forward to seeing what he could do as an individual for the Premier Series, where generally he was at the back half of Split 1, top half of Split 2. He actually won the Monza round at Split 2 earlier this year in Premier Series. So really looking forward to seeing what he can bring. Look, and he'll say the same thing. He just lost a bit of motivation mid-year, and a couple of results didn't go his way, and he was a bit flat. But, you know, he's really, really picked up. And if there's anyone been more improved in the V8s in the Australian iRacing scene, I haven't seen him. The improvement he's had has been breathtaking.
You have to say it certainly has been. Keep an eye on the championship battle, though, between Harley Haber and Marlon McMullen. McMullen did not have a good Suzuka, and then, of course, the Enduro came along 1 week ago. So McMullen, currently in 9th position at the moment here, Ryan, needs to find some points as the reigning champion. 9th place, not brilliant, behind Ross Rizzo, who normally we find in this commentary booth, but he's decided to step into the vehicle for this one. His rival Harley Haber's up in 4th place, and he's going to need a mega race today to pull himself back in, and this is where McMullen's been good. He scores consistent points, but yet he is without a race victory this season.
Yeah, he is, and being on the 150 kilometers today, only 32 lap race, it's a sprint race by all means, which means qualifying down the order is going to be a lot more of a disadvantage than it is, say, last round. We came from the 650k race at Imola last time out. Qualified on the order, no big deal. 3rd place at the end, that's crossing the start-finish line, started 32nd, Altus Esports. Here, though, at Barcelona, hard to pass, 150 kilometres. If you qualify outside the top 10, you could find yourself very difficult to get up into the top 5. What have you seen there, Jake?
I've seen Jack Boyd move up into 9th position, so we're saying how Marlon McMullen could fall outside of the top 10. Well, he's on the cusp of that. He's got himself 900ths of a second to say that he is going to be inside of that top 10. At the moment, we've got ourselves over halfway through qualifying. Your top 10 as it stands. Andrew Gilliam's at top with Richard Hampstead in 2nd. Jordan Ross and Harley Haber are on the 2nd row. It will be then Brett Loxton and James Scott, Kyle Stokes, Ross Rizzo, Jack Boyd and Marlon McMullen, your top 10. But you look at drivers maybe a little bit further down the order and you see a big disparity gap. Especially between around 15th position onwards. A lot of drivers, Brenton, congealing around that 1:48.4 mark as those who are looking to try and break in. And in terms of what we'd say a Scott's time would be, I would say just outside of the cusp, looking to push forward. How important is it for drivers to get a good qualifying lap together, knowing that they get, if they say go to the Premier Series, they get maybe 18 hours worth of practice at hot lapping?
Yeah, it's important, isn't it? But this race here, not forgetting there will be a safety car, so different strategies will come into play. And we're talking about drivers who are down the order. Michael Talazanjic, he's the one that stands out to me, certainly off where he would normally be, down in 22nd position, which, considering his teammate at the moment's on provisional pole, that's a surprise there. Whether, I'm not sure whether he's had completely clean laps and he's still got another 6 minutes to go to improve there. So I'm surprised with Michael being so far down, but like I said, still time to go. Nick Hausler in 49. So we've got 50 cars in the split, which is really, really solid.
Certainly is, and of course Jake Maloney does what Jake Maloney wants to in 50th place, and that is not qualify the car and do a last how far can I get up the order challenge. That's his sort of MO for racing like this at the moment. We haven't seen too many times improve over the last couple of minutes. It is a longer lap around here. It may only be 4.65 kilometers, which is relatively short in terms of a distance, but it is a slow top speed lap. There is a lot of corners which make life very difficult to put the power down and work that mentality going forward. Keeping an eye on Rob Harris, as he has just crossed himself over the start-finish line, and he has gone onto a flying lap at the moment. Here's a driver, Ryan, who is really finding a good turn of form, is starting to find the improvements, well loved within the community. Everyone loves to see Rob Harris doing well, and he's up in 23rd position at the moment, challenging the likes of Taliancic and Varga, which is a very, very strong challenge by his standards. Other drivers to keep an eye out on. Jet Bennett's having a stormer today. He's up in 17th.
Yeah, well, on that topic of Rob Harris, of course, we know he's a very consistent driver and finishes a lot of the races he takes the green flag in. So very consistent, keeps it very clean for most of the time too. So if he can find a bit of a raw pace in that car, we could see him definitely challenging a lot further up the order. And that's something he has slowly been working out lately too, and finding more time. To see him on 23rd, halfway up the grid. Is a good improvement for Rob too, and I'm sure we're going to see him continue to improve throughout the rest of the year. But look at James Scott.
Wow.
Across the line, straight to provisional pole. Stunning lap time there.
147.290, first man to break the 47.2 barrier, and he does so, and he gets himself where he needs with just under 4 minutes to go. In terms of a message, though, Brenton, for that sort of time from James Scott, you look at that time at this point of the session, is that a gauntlet being thrown?
Yeah, look, he's been in hot form. We've just talked about that already, and with the track temp going up that little bit, it's surprising that he's been able to knock that time off Gilliam and Hampstead out. Both are in good form. Tom Freer as well has just improved up to 5th position. So, they've got a pretty good set. I was actually had the chance to had a chat with Scotty Gamble before, who's also running Tom Freer sets a bit loose, Scotty says. But, they're pretty happy with it, pretty quick. What it's like with tyres, don't know. But, look, there's still 3 minutes to go of qualifying. James Scott in pole position, provisional pole. It'll be tough to beat, and if he gets up and away in the race, he'll be really hard to beat.
Certainly will, but he knows that Andrew Gilliam has been in a rich purple patch of form. Richard Hampstead always up there, has been driving pretty well in the E-Series that has been going on, of course, which you have been able to catch quite a bit over the Australian Peninsula, and I believe the last round was shown on the iRacing Esports Network, so make sure you check out all of the great stuff that happened with these Australian touring cars time and time again. But this is going to be a tough challenge for those in qualifying. They've got themselves not long, 2.5 minutes to get those times together. What about the likes of, say, Brett Loxton at the moment? We haven't talked about him yet in terms of this qualifying. He's down in 7th position, always has the ability to turn up on his day. A former champion here in AOSC has made himself a bit friendly with the neighbours, so to speak. The likes of Harley Haber, he's had a few run-ins with over the past couple of weeks. We'll see how Brett does as he's looking to get a good time, but he's had a wiggle coming out of turn 3. Really tough to deal with these vehicles here, Ryan, as he now makes his way into the Repsol corner.
Tough to deal with indeed. These cars typical around any racetrack, but a racetrack here where there's a lot of high-speed acceleration zones makes it even tougher. Jordan Ross, a little bit further up ahead on the track, coming through the final corner, up in 4th place at the moment, of 47.6. His best lap time so far. He's going to come across the line, 47.35, moves up into 3rd place. just 600ths away from James Scott.
600ths, but that is still 600ths too far. And of course, when you push on a lap time for number one, you have to abandon the second one. He will not go any quicker in terms of his qualifying session. He will not get out and around to get another lap under the belt. So Jordan Ross is stuck at no better than position number 3, which is crucial. Now this becomes a case of who's the last one to the line at the moment. Jet Bennett currently crossing at the moment. Drivers out there looking to set times include the likes of Jack Boyd. Brett Loxton is in the mix, and I have seen Jake Maloney go up to 11th position in qualifying, so he's decided, no, I'm actually going to get some practice in, some proper practice in today. So he's up there 4,000ths behind Jack Boyd. That's disaster for Marlon McMullen, who now is down in 12th position, and that's going to make his day so difficult. Try and move up the order as he finds himself under pressure and has not improved since the opening minutes of this session. 35 seconds and under now remaining to try and get these lap times in, and this is crunch time here, Brenton.
Yeah, it really is. And as the clock winds down, just the 20-something seconds to go. Look, the grid's not quite set yet. There's some cars still on a quick lap. I can see a couple of the cars have already started doing their starting procedures for when the race starts, put a bit of fuel in, etc. But, you know, like I said, I'm still surprised that Michael Talaandric has not moved up. I'm surprised that Corey Preston down in 16th position. So there's some quick guys there that are at the back that are going to be working their way through. So we're in for a hell of a race.
We are, as the timer expires. They do have the ability to finish their laps, though. Likes of Craig Jones gets over the line a little too late. Talaandric does not find improvement. Does Jamie McKnight, though, down in 31st position. He's on a 48.8. 4/10 of a second, makes 11 positions as he crosses the line and does himself a 48.9. He doesn't find the improvements that he was looking for. Christian Smart has looked absolutely fantastic in 13th position. 49.5, definitely not good enough for him as he was looking for improvements. What about Jamie Stovall? He's surprisingly down the order. Stays 29th position. I was expecting a top 20 out of him as Stephen Varga stays in 22nd position overall, which was not part of the plan. Looking further back, here's Jack Boyd, 10th position at the moment, 6/10 off of pole. Needs some security. 47.7, he finds it, and he gains the position on Ross Rizzo up to 9th, so he's on inside 4th, 5th row. That's going to be useful for him. Okay, we've also kept an eye out on Steve Janssen, who sometimes seems to have a very good qualifying as and when he finds it. Is this his sort of track? No, it's not. He dives down onto pit road. Jordan Ross, a little wide through the first part of the chicane, trying to gather it up. He will not find improvements on lap times, but James Scott will be very happy with where he is at the moment with a good time as Corey Preston spins it coming out of the chicane, but we still got the likes of Andrew Gilliam out there on track who could potentially go and set a time. But most drivers across the line, we think everyone across the line has managed to find the improvements that they've needed, and this potentially could be the end of what we see right now. Gilliam making his way up through turn 12, just waiting for confirmation to say if this is a lap that is going to be an improvement or not at the moment. It's not the best, I think, that we're hearing heading through the chicane, so he will now look to try and make his way over to the start-finish line and try and make sure that that plays out in his favour. He dives down onto pit road. This is how the grid will stack here at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. James Scott then gets pole position for Evolution Racing Team with Andrew Gilliam alongside him, the man in form. Jordan Ross will start this one from third with Richard Hamstead alongside him on the second row. Row 3 sees Team Hyperdrive's Tom Freer and Harley Haber, the challenger for the title at the moment for Mark 1, with Brett Loxton in 7th and Kyle Stokes, the 888, in position at number 8. Jack Boyd starts this one 9th, with Ross Rizzo starting this one in 10th. Ryan going through 11th to 20th.
Jake Maloney put in a qualifying lap. He's going to start 11th ahead of Marlon McMullen. Further down than we'd expect to see him. Back in 12th place, Christian Smart 13th, Damien Johnson on the outside of row 7 and 14th. Sean Thompson, Corey Preston, who spun his final lap. Back there in 16th place, Matt Morris, Craig Jones, Jet Bennett and Scott Gamble round out the top 20.
And Brenton O'Brien will be going through 21 to 30.
Scotty O'Keefe brings up 21. Stephen Varga, who's been in some decent form of late. 22nd. Talaandric, Harris, Kimman, Jansen, Bird, Greg Sharp down in 28th, Jamie Stovall, surprising actually in 29th, and Jack Widders will be in position 30.
Jamie McKnight starts this one 31st, Cruz McVie in 32nd, then it's Lindsay Hobbs and Mark Samuel. Nick Coulson starts from 35th, Matthew Deere, Henry King and Scott Clark 36th, 37th, 38th, Shane Evans and Wayne Taylor round out the top 40.
Running out the field, Matthew Norris, Shane Rayner, Simon Vella, Alan Dawson, and Terrence Stennett from 45th, Chris Barnes, Blair Walton, Thomas Cool, Mark Dial, and running up the field for us today, Nick Osler back in 50th place.
Hoping to find some very good time from 50th. He's hoping for an early safety car here today. Of course, in this series at the Parramatta Isuzu Ute AOSC Championship, you have yourself one mandatory safety car when it comes to sprint race features like this. So those who break away early don't often have the guarantee that they are going to win this race outright. This is fast and ferocious racing that everyone is looking to try and get correct here at this stage in time. Watch out for Harley Haber. He's good on starts, he's good on restarts. He'll look to be aggressive early. Tom Freer will be looking to try and find some safety over the course of his season, but look out for the likes of Jordan Ross and Andrew Gilliam. They want to get some big point scores in as the green flag drops and 32 laps gets underway here from Barcelona. Long run to turn one, already defensive as there's a poor start for Richard Hampstead. Haber and Freer going straight by. Jordan Ross happy to sit into position 3 at the moment as Freer has to move to the outside, almost making contact with Harley Haber as they concertina up into the opening corner. Scott challenged down the inside and there's contact between them. A push to pass as Andrew Gilliam finds the race lead around the outside of turn 3. Jordan Ross immediately trying to attack, but here's Harley Haber down the inside, tried to get his position back and up to turn 4. He looks to try and make that move. On the brakes he goes, and look at this, a straight back, tries to go through into all goes Carl Stokes. He'll go straight on. Big incident at the Hamilton-Rosberg spot, and that really checks up the field as I think a lot get themselves involved. Not the start that was wanted, Brenton.
No, not at all. But the action's been thick and fast, and James Scott has been able to recover that and take the lead from Andrew Gilliam. I'm not sure whether Andrew let him through or not there in the exit of turn 2, but oh look, the action's on straight away.
It's absolutely on straight away as they keep on fighting, even in the mid-pack, as Jordan Ross tries to find a way through. Side by side, too wide, too deep for second and third as Harley Haber pushes Gilliam almost into the gravel there as they head through 9 up to Lekaiksa. Turn number 10 out on track. Here's Richard Hampstead thinking about a move down the inside on the brakes. He's not finding it. Brett Loxton's incredibly deep on the brakes as he goes through as well, and he doesn't quite find the line that he was looking for. They're too wide. Likes of Damien Johnstone's made a good start as they've got a lot going on here. And Ryan, we are seeing here breakaways and incidents heading towards the background.
Marlon McMullen's blown an engine, or at the
Wow.
very least has seriously damaged that engine. He's going to have to come down to pit lane to get that car repaired if he can. That is huge for this championship. Does he keep going? No, he dives down into pit lane. And that is disastrous for Marlon McMullen.
The good news for Marlon McMullen is this has happened on lap 1. He'll be able to use the one fast repair that's available here in this series, get back out on track and gain the time back at the safety car period. His rival, though, is in second position. James Scott leads, Harley Haber second, Andrew Gilliam in third, Jordan Ross in fourth, Richard Hampstead fifth, Tom Freer back to sixth, Jack Boyd up to 7th, Brett Loxton 8th, it's Damien Johnstone 9th, and Jake Maloney rounding out the top 10 at the moment. Battle further back, Scott Gamble having a good race at the moment, up 4 already, but under pressure. Here's Sean Thompson trying to find a way through here at Repsol Corner. On the brakes he goes, down the inside. You are able to run the outside line, and Brenton, it's just a case of a tap, and thank you very much. Boxed in behind, though, Stephen Varga.
Yeah, Sean Thompson looks like he's got a little bit of damage to the front here. I would imagine it's obviously from that lap 1 incident. So he's going to be struggling straight line. So, you know, Scotty Gamble and Steve Varga, they're going to want to make this move soon. Otherwise, that pack in front will just disappear.
Well, they're still battling all the way to turn 7. You don't go too wide there. And the hyperdrive cars now start checking up as Jamie Stovall's made a stormer of a start. He needs to get back in to the mix at the moment as they make their way to Lekaiksa. Once again, hoping that there are going to be moves aplenty. And there is one here because there's Jake Maloney diving down the inside of Damien Johnstone for the top 10. And he gets the move sorted. So here on lap 2, Maloney's starting to make some progress here as he knows that he needs to get some time in as there's issues behind here, Ryan.
Big crash, that was the car we were watching before we got to 9th place. Damien Johnstone, or Steve Thompson, sorry, Sean Thompson, my bad, getting rotated at the end of the back straightaway into turn number 10. got collected by another car as well. Get a replay up on the
Yes.
screen thanks to West End Mazda.
Yeah, so Scotty Gamble's just gone in too deep there, lost the rears a little bit, and it was out of his control. And unfortunately for Thompson, he was the victim there of something that wasn't his doing.
Oh, well, Thompson actually went and lost it all on his own there. So that was actually Gamble going into Varga, and then Sean Thompson trying to do the Romain Grosjean spin to get himself back going again. I think he may have caught a bit of a tap there on the end, but he gets himself back going, but he's straight back into the middle of the track there for Thompson. I think that's just a rush of blood to the head to try and get back out onto circuit. There is still, though, the race going on as we're staying under green flag conditions. Look at how close Richard Hampstead is at the moment, Brenton, though, to Jordan Ross. Ross unable really to pull away at this stage and give himself some breathing room, but the crucial fact is he's still in the draft of Andrew Gilliam. That's giving him the advantage to make sure he can't be overtaken.
It's going to be a bit of a patience game here as well. Like, everybody knows there will be a safety car, so there's no point going racing out in front. Be careful on your tyres, be careful on your fuel. Safety car could come out at any time, so these guys will make up a lot of ground in the pits. We do know that already. And Jordan, yeah, he's no slouch. Now that he's been released, like the Enduro season's finished, he can now run setups that he's comfortable with. Yeah, he'll just have to take that Bathurst win and put it in his pocket. But you will see progressive improvement for the rest of the season for Jordan Ross, and he'll just keep getting better and better as the season goes on.
And it's very similar to how he was trying to attack last season. He was right up there fighting for the championship. McMullen stole it at the last round of the season, but this is still going to be some very tough racing, and I'm keeping an eye on the times that James Scott is able to do compared to Harley Haber, because Haber is trying to lead that train back within 1 second here of Scott, who makes his way over the start-finish line. The gap last time across was 1.3 seconds. The gap now is 1.4, so he extends out by 0.5 of a second that last time by over Harley Haber, which is okay for Haber at the moment. He's staying within range. He knows he can go out there and attack. He had to come up from 6th place to try and get the moves, and by that time 1 second was already written off for him as he looks to try and push and attack a little more. Matt Morris, though, under pressure here, because he's trying to attack here Corey Preston for 11th and 12th at the moment. This is right at the back of the train, so very much a draft central track. Top 12 split here, Ryan, by 7 seconds at the moment on the road, and Matt Morris wants to be the man making moves up through it.
Yeah, but we were just watching an absolute mess through 1 and 2 just behind that as well. We'll go back to this battle up front now for 11th and 12th place. And say what, there's huge battles all up and down this field, some messy battles as well. There's the 3 wide further back, Simon Vella, and we can see that on screen now. They try to squeeze through turn 4, contact further back in that pack, and it's don't see this ending too well, Jake, because this is looking all very messy right now. A lot of cars diving into the corners well over their heads. Seen a lot of incidents in the back straight too, with cars locking up on the brakes and spinning into that corner, causing chain reactions too. But it looks like for now, they're still side by side. Wayne Taylor edging out Greg Sharp, who's going to hang there and have the inside for turn 9. And he's, I tell you what, he didn't quite have the nose up there. Taylor shoved the door. Ross Rizzo's trying to push his way through, and Michael Talientich, who we said was starting further back than expected, he's lost even more time back now outside the top 30.
Well, Ross Rizzo's back in 35th, and there's a mistake. Round goes 1, and that wasn't part of the script for him as he looks to try and get going. That's Lindsay Hobbs, who's gone round and has not had too much fun after that little spin and that little whoopsie-daisy. Is looking to go forward. They are at the moment. Here's side by side, though, as Jake Maloney gets through on Brett Loxton, and that was a gifted position there as Maloney comfortably makes his way through. And Brenton, you are going to see that drivers who are going to let drivers go because they feel like they're quicker and they're playing the long game in terms of strategy. Brett Loxton, someone who has been aggressive over the last couple of rounds, deciding it's time to just take it easy and get some consistent points.
Yeah, looks like he's carrying a bit of damage to the front left there as well, so certainly that's going to affect his straight line, and he doesn't need to put in the fight. We were talking about that before. We know there's a safety car coming. Why risk it right at this moment? You can save yourself half a second worth of fuel in a pit stop. You're going to jump a lot of cars, and I will have to mention Jamie McKnight. This is a guy who started 31st on the grid up to 18th. There must have been some drama on lap 1. We've seen some cars drop, but Jamie does not have a scratch on that car. And this is what Jamie does best year after year, race after race. Just chips away. His qualifying certainly not his strength, but the race pace that he's got on is very, very good right now, up 13 positions.
You cannot fault him at the moment. He's up with the likes of Scott Gamble, David Kinman, Rob Harris, and behind him Stephen Varga as well. So he's made some great progress over the start. David Kinman himself up a great 9 places at the moment from the start of this race. That's some very strong working at the moment. Tom Freer, though, does lose out the position to Jack Boyd, and he drops it at Lekaixa, turn number 10 on track here, Ryan. A big lunge down to the inside, coordinated late as possible, but a lot of room being given there by Tom Freer, who's just seen a satellite go by and say, oh, hello, and that's some nice overtaking going on there. So that was not part of the plan for Tom Freer. He loses the position overall, and he'll want to get that back, but I think he'll still be happy being in 7th place at the moment, despite being down 2 off the start.
Yeah, it's still early. There is still that safety car to come, and you need to make your pit stop before you can think about getting home to the checkered flag. Make that stop before the safety car comes out, and then get ready for a sprint race to the end. So these guys just got to set themselves up, be there when it matters. There's no point taking yourself out of the race now by battling too hard, because all you're going to gain now is being slightly further ahead on the train. We know how restarts go in any series in iRacing. They're absolutely chaotic, and AOSC generally a recipe for a lot of excitement all the way up and down the field. So it's not worth too much to fight right now, but further back, fighting hard, McKnight and Varga. When you're as far back as them, you're not inside those top 10 spots. You need to get every spot you can up the inside for Varga. Oh, he doesn't quite get the turn in he needs, almost washed up into the side of McKnight, but he's got the inside for the next corner at least. But if McKnight stays there, he's going to have it, but he backs out of the move. Let's Varga go through up into P18 now.
McKnight there was just giving a little word there, I think, there to Stephen Varga. I'm not sure he was too happy with that from Stephen, trying to wash out into the corner and make that move. So we'll see how McKnight responds, as there's a mistake in the further back for Nick Coulson, who drops himself 2 positions after, I think, getting too nice, too neat, maybe. No, he had a big slide coming out of turn 7. He's got huge damage on the rear, and that was never going to help that momentum, that mid-corner stability there, Brenton. 2 positions lost coming out of turn 7 and 8.
Yeah, so the cars are going through a bit of a transition right now. Let's just have a look at the lap times of James Scott. So from the pole position, opened up lap 2 with a 47.926, fastest lap of the race so far. But then let's look at the progression down from here. We were talking about tyres. Second lap, lap 3, 3 tenths slower, then another 2 tenths, then another 3 tenths, and then now lap 6, he's down to a 48.8. So not one stage has he made any improvement or even stayed the same consistency. And that's the whole way through the field. So with the track temp going up slightly, the cars, they carry a bit of weight, let's be honest, with the fuel load right now, but the tyres are definitely making a mark and going off.
And this is also not helping with iRacing's dynamic track system, heating up the track with 50 vehicles running around it, with a few casualties along the way as well. Crucially enough, Harley Haber and Andrew Gillian both gained a 10th on James Scott that last time by, brings the gap to 1.3 and 2 seconds respectively, as they have broken Jordan Ross 1.2 seconds away down the road at this point in time. Another change of position. Tom Freer is going straight backwards. Jake Maloney has found his way through, and he's managed to get that one done down at turn 1. Easy move on the brakes, and Tom Freer is a man going one direction at the moment, and that is backwards. Some say that his race pace does not reflect his qualifying pace at the moment. Some might have to agree with him, as now Jack Boyd starts to get a little bit aggressive here. He's just looking and waiting for a chance to get past Richard Hampstead just in front, prove that he is all that he is made of, and that he could have just as easily had an E-Series seat.
Yeah, for sure. Jack Boyd, very talented, showing that right now. Harassing the back of an E-Series driver in Richard Hampstead. Good run out of the final quarter. Might be close enough for a move up into turn 1. Probably a bit too far back though. There's been some huge moves up and down this field. Simon Vella, last time I checked, was up 25 spots. So I think he's been involved in an incident and gone backwards. Only up 14 now. Bunch of cars up over 10 spots. McKnight, Coulson, Clark, King, Cruz McVie, Matthew Norris and Vella still. So this field is topsy and turvy. It's changing a lot right now. Jack Boyd, he's up 3 spots, and when he started inside the top 10, that's quite some effort. What about turn 4? Is he close enough for a move? So it's the nose, but Hampstead, wise old head there, and not troubled by that. Knew he was too far back and holds him off for now, but Jack Boyd, he's had the pace for sure. He was quicker last lap, a 48.8. Hampstead, a 49.0. That's 2/10. And they were already quite close together. So he's getting right up under his rear wing. And end of this back straight away. I reckon it's going to be his best opportunity. If not, he's going to have to wait till turn 1 again.
Well, the Keixer is always the place where a move can be made, and we'll see how Jack Boyd looks to attack this one, as the gap at the front of the field last time by dipped under a second for the first time in a very long time for James Scott, who had an off 49.3, 4/10 of a second slower than rivals behind on the brakes into Leclerc. So you don't have much time to get alongside and dive and make that move. You have to be brave if you make a move down at turn 10, but no chances of making a move. But this is going to be the worry now for James Scott. The fact that here in the mid-stint here of this race, lap 8 of this one out of 32, he's starting to lose the tyres a bit, Brenton. What does he need to do to rein himself in and not worry about defending behind?
Well, that's exactly right. He doesn't have to worry about defending behind. It's still a long way to go. We're on lap 8 of 32. We know there's a pit. We know that there's other things we've got to replay on the screen.
This was Matthew Norris. Yeah, back in 45th. Oh, he got hit into turn 7 and then running wide. As he made contact, he has, and that was an awkward rejoin.
Ugly.
And that was, oh, who else was that? 3 or 4 cars in the end got involved in that one. That was a big crash as Christian Smart came back across the track and collected someone else. And that was all a bit ugly and unfortunate there. Just a chain reaction of events from a very unfortunate touch on the entry.
Yeah, it's always very difficult when you get caught in an incident like that. I think Matthew Norris just ran himself out a little wide after the incident, wasn't quite gathered up together again, and just like that, bang, the chain reaction happens. I don't think there was malice in that, but I definitely think that it was a little bit clumsy come the end, as again Jack Boyd thinks about the outside at turn 5, the former Elf corner, and he can't get it good, and now he's going to have to wait an entire lap to get himself back together again because of the fact that he is too far back at this point in time at the moment. Other battles going on in the field include Rob Harris here and David Kinman trying to have their own scrap at the moment in their mini pack, their mini train. Every train at the moment seemingly having its own ideas, and we were sort of looking at around lap 10 being maybe the place, Brenton, where the pit stop window opens in this series, especially with a mandatory safety car. Wouldn't you agree in the philosophy that an earlier pit stop is better than a later one?
Yeah, well, yes, but no, because like the guys can do 21 laps on a full stint, but with the track temperature going up, you've got to think of the tyre life. If they're struggling on tyres now in cooler track temps up to lap 9, I wouldn't have a whole lot of faith in them hanging on for another 21 laps as the track gets warmer. And looking at what we're doing at the moment, I'll be honest with you, I think there's two of the most schizophrenic drivers in the iRacing, Jack Boyd and Tom Freer. Like some days they're as slow as that Bretton O'Brien fella, but other days like today at this track, 6th and 8th position at the moment, these guys are going well above where they would normally be, and it's great to see what their teams are developing with these guys, and it'd be great to see them up there more consistently.
Certainly would do, and we have seen Jack Boyd up there challenging for race victories. Other times we've seen him outside of the top 20 with Tom Freer. We've seen him very, very strong in terms of qualifying performances. Other times he's completely MIA, as now Jake Maloney finds himself on the rear. It's a trans-Tasman sandwich at the moment as Maloney tries to get in with Jack Boyd. Hampstead just in front as well, as they all try and make their way through to turn 5 once again here on lap 10 of this event. On the brakes they go into the left-hander of 5, and now up through the kink of 6 to 7 and 8 once again. And this is where Jack Boyd's got to be wary here. Maloney does have pace. He has proven it. 11th up to 7th, almost equal in that last time by. Jake Maloney, 48.8. He was the fastest man of every one of your leaders that last time by. He is motoring at the moment, and Boyd now has to be wary here into turn number 10, Ryan, but I think he's not close enough this time to make a move. He's half thinking about it on the brakes, but again, not close enough to make a decisive attempt.
Not close enough, but lap 10, they're going to cross the line and trigger onto lap 11, and Brenton O'Brien was gracious enough to fill us in with some fuel numbers before this race started. 21 laps to a tank, which means lap 11, your fuel window opens to get home to the end with 21 laps to go from there. Lap 12, I just did some maths in my head and figured that's wrong. That's 22 laps. 12, so 2 laps time, they can get home to the end. They're going to start diving out of pit lane, because if you are out on track and you haven't made your pit stop when the safety car comes out, you're going to be in a world of hurt, because these drivers that have pitted before the safety car will cycle all the way around you and go past you while you make your pit stop and go all the way to the back of the train, and that will be basically race over for whoever you were racing with, whether that be for the lead, whether that be for P10. P11 is Corey Preston and Matt Morris.
Yes, and those two are really scrapping again, and in through the turn 1 and 2 section. Morris closing right up to the back bumper there as Preston went ever so slightly wide, just curving off the corners a little bit more there through that opening section, but able to gather it back up through turn 3 and into the push to turn 4. But he runs wide through that section, a different contrasting line, trying to diamond off the corner on exit. It's not the quicker line, but he does get himself an advantage into turn 5, and it's those contrasting lines which does play a bit of havoc really when you're trying to battle. Different drivers drive in different ways, and Corey Preston is a driver who does like to race firmly, Brenton, and is definitely a driver that is taking maybe slightly different lines to make life more difficult for Matt.
No, Corey certainly does try and make life difficult on occasions. We've had a bit of history, Corey and I, so I'll probably take the fifth on that one. But things up the front have certainly seemed to have dialed down a little bit, to the point where they actually are genuinely looking after their tyres. This is the time now where, as a strategist, like, if you call the guys in now to pit, look, they'll be an advantage if it's a safety car. We've got another replay on the screen.
Yeah, this is Rob Harris and Stephen Varga, I think, coming together. So Rob Harris coming up the hill towards turn 7, and it was a late move, and Varga has caught Rob Harris, and he's gone straight into the wall, and you have to feel Harris was maybe a little bit earlier on the brakes with his line, and Varga was not akin to it, trying to get to the inside, and just like that, it falls.
And using all of his experience right now, because now that the safety car is getting close, now that the pit window is certainly open, this is the time where you just want to find yourself moving up in the order. You can control when you want to pit, don't have to be dictated by anybody else, and if you can get that little gap covered there between Jordan and Gilliam in front, well, that's going to be all important. So don't be surprised if Hampstead tries to make a move on Jordan shortly.
Well, no surprises at the moment, but he has been searching and looking and trying to prise open a move, and he has a great run coming out of turn 8. Now, if he can unlock turn 9, he's got a chance here at Lekikes at turn 10. So we'll see how that plays out. Good run. Looking already to the outside, back to the inside. Carlington a little bit between them. On the brakes he goes, a lunge down the inside. Can he block the passing lane? Yes, he can. He takes a big stab from behind, but he walks away unwounded there. Richard Hampstead with a big dive, Ryan, to move up into 4th.
Good move, very savvy as well, to just sort of balk that car down to the apex and prevent Jordan Ross from performing the cutback that he was trying to do. What that has done, though, has allowed Jordan Ross to be caught as well by Maloney and Jack Boyd, and now Ross is going to pit because he doesn't want any more part of that. He's going to come down to pit lane. The pit window's definitely open now. He can go to the end, and he can negate the threat of being out on track when the safety car comes out, because he's down in pit lane. He'll take 42 litres of fuel, thereabouts, some fresh tyres, and he'll get that car back out on track, and he'll be hoping out into some clean air.
Corey Preston also in, but he was battling for the entire last sector and almost spun it with Matt Morris. Morris coming off better. Preston cuts his losses, dives down onto pit road. A safety car now would put almost all of the field under so much pressure, and that's what I think everyone now is going to start thinking about. Okay, first drivers come in. We now have to react. Drivers surely now, like Hampstead, Maloney and Boyd here, because of the fresh tyre effect, Brenton, have to respond now to Jordan Ross.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that they'll be checking. Number one, they'll open up with Jordan's lap time, see if there's an improvement. The other thing they will desperately need to look at is whereabouts in traffic does Jordan come out. It looks like he's come out in pretty clear traffic at the moment. Only take him about half a lap to get his tyres up to speed, and then from there he'll pick up the two cars in front. There's a hyperdrive car and also the cars that Scott Clark, I think it is. Yeah, so Jordan does not want to be held up by these guys. You're going to have guys like Hampstead who will want to react. Jordan just got passed by Richard. I would imagine Richard will have to react next lap.
Well, we'll see how that works as Gilliam goes straight on at Lekikes, and now he's going to have to get on it, and now all of a sudden he falls back into that train as well. He missed his braking point there, all on his own, was starting to fall back. He misses his braking point, takes a couple of cones with him, and just like that, Richard Hampstead now has another target, and suddenly he's a shark in the water, looking to try and make any opportunity to try and get some moves. Haber's close back up to James Scott once again. No takers, though, onto the lane, except Tom Freer, who covers off the move. So Tom Freer decides it's time for him to get on the lane here, Ryan. But just like this, Andrew Gilliam under so much pressure here from Hampstead.
Yeah, Gilliam's really been struggling the last couple of laps, and now here goes Hampstead to the inside of turn 1. and Gilliam's going to roll over. I'm going to go through, but Hampstead's locked up a tyre, and Gilliam with the cutback around the outside of turn 2. And Maloney as well is going to follow him through, but look at Hampstead trying to hang it around the outside of turn 3. It's very tough to get the traction down. They're all struggling to get the rear end to stay in line with the front. And Hampstead trying to find a gap, gives a push to the back of Gilliam. And they're still side by side, Jake.
They are, and there's contact on the exit between them. Gilliam has turned drivers before. Keep that in mind into turn 5. And now they've brought everyone in. This is perfect for Jordan Ross. They're fighting, they're scrapping, they're clawing. Maloney gets the inside coming out of 5. Now looking to 6 and 7 at the moment. And now into 7 and 8 as well. And Maloney gets there. Caution comes out right at the perfect time. And now, just like that here on lap 14, everyone's going to have to take a trip to the lane. Jordan Ross has rolled the gamble, and it has paid off beautifully, Brenton.
Yeah, not too shabby, and he'll be really happy with that. And now, like, his tyres are only a lap and a bit old. It's not like they're going to be worn out at all. So he can just back it off, take his time, get his tyres warmed up. There's no rush here. You would think that he's certainly would be the leader at the moment. That was a really exciting bit of racing there between Gilliam, Maloney and Hampstead. And I'll tell you what, if that safety car didn't come out, Hampstead wouldn't be smiling too much. He should have pitted that last lap. And the proof of the pudding is right now there's a safety car, and he's going to be caught out, as will most of the field.
Well, he's been caught out. A few drivers have been caught out. Someone out there on circuit, though, who is looking to try and gain some positions here is Ross Rizzo. We join him live in the car at the moment. He's down in 35th position last we checked. You were up inside the top 10 in qualifying there, Ross, but it seems that it just didn't quite work out for you over the opening stages. Got a tap, got a turn, and now it's a long road back.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I went like right to the back of the field and just had to do some fair bit of overtaking, which was a lot of fun. And you know, the first couple of cars were really easy, but then you really appreciate how difficult it is to pass here because you just can't seem to get the run unless you've got like yeah, it's really still really difficult to pass. I was having to take a few bit of risks, and I think I damaged the car in the process, so had to take the early stop, which wasn't the plan. I wanted to pit later. But it looks like it's worked out in my favour because I pitted on the lap before the SC, so it's worked out pretty serendipitously.
Well, you've had an early pit stop, which is big advantage, and of course every other driver apart from maybe Jordan Ross and Tom Freer have yet to come down in and make your stop. So are you thinking of gaining maybe a good 20 positions coming off of this pit stop and now putting yourself in a really strong position to attack the second half of this race?
Well, that'd be really nice. I do know, however, that the tyre wear is pretty severe around here. It kind of plateaus for a little while, but then that front left gets absolutely punished, so I'm a little nervous about hitting the cliff in the later stages of the race, and given how long this last stint is going to be, there is a genuine possibility of that. So fingers crossed the tyres hold on and we can make it get back into the top 10, which would be a pretty amazing result, I think. But it is, I think, entirely possible if you know, a lot of cars do need to take service under this SC.
Well, let's also talk about the fact that this track is a very low fuel usage track. The fact of the matter is you're not getting up to those high speeds very often. A track that's a little bit easier maybe to make that fuel save possible. So what we're looking at here is drivers who are maybe thinking about lap 12 as the big time to come in and make those stops. A safety car quite early, I think, early to mid in terms of the pit stop cycle is going to change a lot of that. How many drivers do you think are going to try and make that gamble, put a little bit less fuel in the car, knowing that this track is a low fuel usage track?
I expect just about everyone, because hopefully people would have done their fuel calculations and realised, you know, you could probably take a little bit less knowing that the SC is coming out. But you know, sometimes you got to plan ahead to in anticipation of the SC, and it has caught out. I mean, I think the pit window was only open for about 3 laps before the SC came out, so probably not that much time to prepare for certain drivers. Maybe other drivers were trying to do undercuts on the cars they were battling and have probably benefited drastically as a result of that. But other than that, chances are people are on the fly. Some people will be well prepared.
Well, Ross, we thank you for joining us then as we let you get back onto your racing action there. Ryan, some brilliant insight there as things go on. But now this pit stop window becomes vital. It's a battle of pit crews for so many drivers. You've got to dive down in onto the lane, make sure you get as much as you can going. And you can see how aggressive James Scott is onto the lane. Haber's run into him. Haber's run into him as they've gone to hit the line. And just like that, Haber gives him 2-3 bumps through. And I think that Harley Haber's just got a bit too greedy there on the brakes. And it's not the first time Haber has been in the midst of controversy.
Here's the replay on board with Harley Haber there. You can see how aggressive they're being on the brakes. Just a complete misjudgment there from Haber as to how quickly Scott was going to jump down onto the pit limiter. And just a bit awkward there, the contact. You know who has made that pit stop as well? Marlon McMullen. He was the car right in behind Ross Rizzo, out on track before they started making the pit stop. So that could play into this championship fight drastically as they all dive out of pit lane. And it's Andrew Gilliam. Wow.
Yeah,
Where's
Gilliam,
Scott?
Maloney, and then it is Harley Haber, and then so
next
many
to
more.
them. Sorry,
And,
there's an absolute chaos as drivers are checking up the end of the back straight. That was very poor awareness on those drivers. Sorry,
Yes,
Jake.
Scott Gamble's been turned around, so they're coming out of pit road. Always very difficult. I wonder if we can get a West End Mazda instant replay of exactly what happened there. Everyone was trying to get themselves up and out on track, and just like that, disaster for Scott Gamble, of all people, for the Hyperdrive team, as he was looking to come out. So everyone comes out, wait, we need to check up, bang, and into the wall he goes. Nearly caught the back of Richard Hampstead, but he got away with it there, did Scott Gamble. So just like that, he's got to try and work his way back up through the field with the iRacing mandatory safety car. It is absolute pandemonium at the moment out on track. So this is now how your top 10 looks. Jordan Ross leads this race. Damian Johnstone now in second. Tom Freer up to third with Corey Preston in fourth. You've got Craig Jones in fifth. Jet Bennett sixth. Vargas seventh. Jansen's eighth. Ross Rizzo now up to ninth. And McMullen, who, reminder, had pitted on lap one of this event, has to come in once more, is now in 10th position, I believe, out there on the road. So it's a tough challenge here. But Brenton, that was a case of new track, new rules, haven't played with the safety car before, panic.
Well, yeah, but my question is, was the pit exit closed? There was a lot of cars coming out. The pit entry by Harley it's not right, it's not on. And the risk of that is that he hits the car in front so hard, whether it's an ERT car or not, doesn't matter. But you can hit the car in front so hard that they generate a pit lane speeding penalty for being too fast. So really surprised James didn't get that, but Jordan is in such a strong position now, like with respect to Damian Johnson, Tom Freer and Craig Jones, Corey Preston. There's no reason why Jordan shouldn't drive away with this. He's got a clear track, tyres are still fresh. There's a lot of work for the rest to do, including from James Scott, etc., etc. Kyle Stokes is an interesting one. He's moved up a lot from that safety car. He's got some damage as well, but yeah, a lot of work to do.
They are miles down the road if you are in position 20-ish, and Andrew Gilliam lights it off on top of the iRacing Ford Mustang safety car. That means it will dive down onto pit road this time by, and we'll get back to green flag running. Jordan Ross in control, played the safety car game to perfection. Everyone else waiting behind, hoping they can chase them down as they get themselves back to green and going again. And Jordan Ross did not get the most amazing start, but he got a good enough start there to pull away from Damian Johnstone. The green flag comes back out, lap 17 of 32, 16 laps to go here at Barcelona. And just like that, already drivers looking to try and push through. Ross Rizzo under pressure from Marlon McMullen behind. No dice, they go through as further back in the pack already. Aggressive driving going through. Maloney and Harley Haber looking to attack as well into the opening stages of the corners as well. And no chance then to go and make the moves just yet. But Johnstone already getting freight trained here, Ryan.
He did. Tom Free went through the inside at turn one. Corey Preston followed him through. Then there was contact with either Preston or Jones. I didn't quite catch it. And he lost the spot to the other one involved too. So 3 spots lost for Damian Johnson off this restart in just half a sector almost. Not a fantastic restart for him. And Jordan Ross has had a great restart because he's pulled out about 5 or 6 car lengths already from this train of cars behind him.
Yeah, and every single driver's now starting to push. Andrew Gilliam is up into 16th place now. He's got by Matthew Deere. Haber's through on Maloney. He's trying to chase. He got Scott and Loxton and Boyd all in the mid to late teens and early 20s. trying to find positions up through the field. A couple drivers may need to come in and make some choice words. It's a case of tyres versus no tyres at the moment as Jordan Ross looks to try and extend the second at the front. John Stone under pressure though. Here is Jet Bennett trying to go around the outside for a top 5, which has been seldom in terms of his career so far in AOSC. No chance through turn 11 up into turn 12, but very crucially, this mid-pack are all starting to concertina up together as they try and work out who's quick and who's not. Janssen, another driver under pressure at the moment, Brenton.
Well, Harley Harbour has been, him and Matty Maloney have been really giving each other a bit of a shoulder charge there. And they're getting a bit desperate, these guys. These are the quick guys who are being held up in traffic. They're not normally around it. Matthew Deere, for example, right now has created a big gap between Harley and also Jake Maloney. They don't need to let each other through. There's no blue flags waving. This is for position. Strategies are completely different. Surprised not everyone pitted there, probably should have. But the quick guys are going to start getting desperate. There's championship points on the line here. This is where championships are won or lost with the mistakes that can get made right now.
Andrew Gilliam comfortably makes his way through on Shane Evans as now Harley Haber has got, and also others have made some big contact in the back, and there was Brett Loxton involved in that as well. So James Scott trying to get through at turn 1, round the outside, tried Brett Loxton. It was 2 into 1. Scott voices his displeasure, and that you can't really call too much on that one. There was just a little bit of a wasn't quite brilliant there, and James Scott then ends up the loser on that one as Jack Boyd dives down the inside now of Matthew Deere. He overcooks it though, and that's great heads-up driving from Matthew Deere. Knows he's racing against quicker people. Let them be the aggressors. I'll just take my position back and just wait for it at the moment.
No. Scott just got into the back of Jack Boyd. It was a bit of netcode there as well. There's a netcode ring around Scott's car at the moment because that was, he's been touched again. There was an absolute mile livery between Brett Loxton and James Scott when they made contact at turn 2. So huge netcode there. More at that corner there. You can see it. Still pretty close, but James Scott a bit unfortunate with these 2 incidents he's just had on this lap.
Tom Freer. Look at Tom Freer. He's all over the back of Jordan Ross at the moment, and that came out of nowhere. So now the race leads on. Tom Freer came to play, and he's going to fight Jordan Ross all the way to the end of this race. Some brilliant work. The gap was almost a second. That has clawed its way right down to 3/10. I wonder if there was a mistake anywhere from Jordan Ross. He was nowhere near. And then all of a sudden, a mistake at the Keixer has brought Tom Freer back into play. This race far from over at the front. And now there's an issue going on for Harley Haber, who has to drop back a few positions as there was contact between him and Gilliam and also Kyle Stokes.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow, Brenton.
Definitely a mistake by Jordan Ross. Opened up with a 48.5 after the safety car second lap after a 49.9. So that's really brought Tom Freer back in. And more importantly, it's brought him back into draft range. So Tom can just play the long waiting game. Let Jordan break the hole in the air, keep his tyres, and then see what happens at the end. This is a race where the best setup will help win because it looks after the tyres long term. What happens in the first couple of laps, it doesn't matter. It's how these guys are going to go with a long run. So let's just see how this pans out. I would imagine as the race gets older and older, Jordan's very, very good at looking after tyres. Fuel is Jordan's weak point. He burns the ERT budget for fuel every day of the week.
Oh, and Haber more contact with Gilliam. They've both let Loxton and Maloney through after contact at the final corner. And now Haber's getting too aggressive here with Gilliam. They've come together 3 times now over the course of the last 5 laps. And that includes safety car laps as well, as they've been making pushes. And this is not helping the championship effort, not one bit, especially with Marlon McMullen in 9th place at the moment.
James
looking to
Scott
try and get
just
some good. Oh, no.
At turn 10. Too late on the brakes, locked the rears. He's got the tow back to pit lane. And James Scott, the restart has the nail in the coffin from him. The pole sitter is out of this race. He's retired the car. Here's the replay. You can see he's so much later on the brakes. The cars around him just pinches the rears at the last point. Spins it there on the inside of the apex, gets it out of the way, takes the tow back to pit lane. He's out.
He is out, and I think that was more of a case of frustration for him in terms of he's out as the racing continues. Battle for third on as well. Craig Jones all over the back of Corey Preston, trying to gain positions, as is for the front 2, Tom Freer and Jordan Ross at the moment. They're all trying to make some good moves, and they're waiting for the right time for them to strike. You can't run too wide out of turn number 3. There are slow down penalties if you stray too far out wide at that section, but this is some brilliant battling. Corey Preston up in third will be fighting with everything he's got. Craig Jones, often you find him as a very underrated character, looking to try and get there. Not close enough, though, through turn 5 at the moment, Brenton.
No, and I've just got a message from James Scott. Had some damage to his car, so his steering was a bit skew-whiff, so he was always going to struggle there. So, real shame for James. Through that net code, obviously created some issues for him, and that ended his day pretty quickly, unfortunately.
It certainly did. Tom Freer still looking to be the aggressor, looking for Team Hyperdrive's first big win that they have been trying to search for. On the brakes they go, into the left of turn 10, and once again, not close enough really to make sure anything happens. Here's the look for third, though. Wide line by Corey Preston, gets the run up off of the exit, though. Craig Jones nowhere to go. Now Johnstone, Varga, Bennett, and Ross Rizzo now come on to the train of 6 for the podium, and this one could go along so far because it stretches all the way back technically to Brett Loxton as Haber and Gilliam continue to scrap for 17th position on the road at the moment. Where does Harley make the move? And he's looking every which way. His championship now starting to fall away slightly as now Craig Jones under pressure. Here comes the move for 4th position now, Ryan, as Damian Johnstone comes in, and here is the Mark 1 sandwich. Varga going to try and make it 3 wide, push to the pit wall like Schumacher and Barrichello. Contact once, contact twice, and they're able to save it. Still 3 wide on the brakes as they go through. Magnificent from Stephen Varga.
That is a sensational move to go to the middle there. He's unfortunately not worked out for Craig Jones, and he won't in fact get the move done on Damian Johnson, but fantastic racecraft. Now he goes for the cutback through turn 3. Should be close enough for a lunge at turn 4. If he's late enough on the brakes, which he isn't, but that was phenomenal stuff from Stephen Varga. He judged that just perfectly not to make contact when he swished back to the middle of the racetrack. They made contact when he went to the right-hand side, though, and that was almost race over, as now they go side by side again, and this time he's got a fantastic overlap. He's almost cleared on exit, but a good exit for Johnstone. He might struggle on the outside of turn number 7, which he will. Look who's right in behind them. Ross Rizzo, the man we talked to on a... Oh, what a slide for Johnston. Rizzo is right there, the man we talked to. He pitted early. The safety car fell well for him. Now he's up here challenging potentially a top 5.
Wow, that was very nearly disaster coming out of that transitional corner. But just like that, Ross Rizzo to the outside, trying to make this move. And can he get that run going through Lekaiksa towards turn 11? Always difficult. No, he cannot. So he's going to have to wait and find another way to make that move. Opening the corner through turn 12, trying to make it happen. Moving backwards now is Greg Sharp as he's starting to struggle. Andrew Gilliam is absolutely nowhere, though, at the moment. Is he out of this race at this stage? Because he certainly has dropped he's got a lot of damage.
Rizzo's been rotated by, who was it? It was...
I think it was McMullen.
Yes, it was McMullen at the second last corner to the chicane, Jake.
Yeah, so it was Bennett into McMullen there as Bennett got too deep on the brakes through the chicane, and that made the chain reaction where McMullen turned Ross Rizzo. He won't be happy about that. He drops behind Harley Haber, which gives him another position up inside the top 15, and crucially puts him only 9 positions back now here of Marlon McMullen, but he has to gain those positions quickly as Brett Loxton and Jake Maloney trying to make their way around Greg Sharp, and they get what they want, pretty quickly as this continues. At the front, though, Jordan Ross starting to extend his legs, then the gap now a second at the front, but a replay up on screen, and this is what happened to Gilliam. Oh my goodness me, it was into the wall. We caught it. I believe that was with the 21 machine overall, so that's Harley Haber, so no surprises there. So getting himself caught in the slipstream, moves to the outside to try and make that move. Oh, he tried to go for the switch back under and he left himself no room. That's all on Harley Haber. Surely it is, because Gilliam never moved his line, Brent.
Yeah, no, that's I think Harley's on a pretty tight rope here when it comes to race bans and suspensions as well. That's not ideal for what he wants to do. I think he only had a race ban as recent as last round, so for that type of thing, look, it's not intentional. No one's going to say that it was, but it was certainly clumsy and certainly would warrant a penalty.
Well, that much will have to be done by race stewards after the race event as this still continues, though. A big massive battle going on as 4th and 5th try and chase down 3rd, those being Stephen Varga and Damien Johnstone. You've got McMullen now up in 6th place, the likes of Jet Bennett and co all looking to attack as on the brakes. Kyle Stokes having to go defensive here as Jake Maloney now starts getting aggressive. Rob Harris just in front and Mark Samuel as well. Oh, mistake! Jet Bennett finds himself into the wall, and can he save it? Yes, he can, just about, but how much damage now on the Exto Gaming car? He will fall to the back of the train, Ryan.
I'd say he got pretty big damage tonight, went hard in on the front right of that machine. Let's get a replay up, thanks to West End Mazda. Out of the final corner, he's just got a bit of a slide going on through the corner, couldn't save it, and he hit it with the rear end first, actually. Bounced back in and got it with the front right. He'll be lucky to get away with that. I guess we'll find out on this lap whether he has.
Well, we'll see. It's a long road to recovery if you are trying to fight for positions and try and get back in. He's already under pressure at the moment now from the likes of Greg Sharp and Ross Rizzo. We'll keep an eye on this. Haber's got a lane as he dives to the outside here and trying to make the move as Rob Harris deals with his battles as well. Then Noah Zarka's down the inside is Maloney here on also going to be Kyle Stokes. So now to turn 7, Haber on the outside, Maloney on the inside. Oh no, that was never going to work. He got caught in the middle there. The road just completely fell away from Haber. Kyle Stokes gets turned and Haber's night going from bad to catastrophic at this point, and he's losing out so much time at this point. And now surely McMullen is position 1 for this championship and favourite surely now heading into the final few rounds here, Brenton.
Look, seriously, Harley's got to take a deep breath here. You're saying he's had a bad night. I would take into account that the races that he's been ruining for others have had a worse night. Harley really needs to settle down. There's a lot of the guys here that when one thing goes wrong, they'll compound it and make other mistakes trying to overdrive the car. This is a classic case of what Harley's doing right now.
Well, he's got to try and just keep a level head, maybe take a couple of laps, and he'll have them to get back to Brett Loxton as and when he can. But this race still continues out there on track. Damien Johnstone, Stephen Varga, 4th and 5th. Keep an eye on their times. They're actually falling away from Corey Preston at the moment in 3rd position. It's been a great drive by Corey. One small mistake, but that is only been to get himself onto pit road. He managed to recover that one pretty nicely. It's been a great drive by him. But the mid-pack, this is what to focus on. Maloney, Harris, Mark Samuel, and Brett Loxton. Mark Samuel is going to defend this one to try and get Harley back into position. Mark Samuel, team boss there at Mark 1, very strong when it comes to the defence. He said he'll happily defend for Harley. There's the lunge down the inside. A door given to the KRF driver, Rob Harris, and he will drop at least 1 position. And there's the second, as going around the outside comfortably is going to be that Zuva racing car there, Ryan, of one Mr. Brett Loxton, both gaining a position.
Can we not forget that Rob Harris was into the wall on the right of this very corner before that Zev's car came out, courtesy of Stephen Varga. So this is a fantastic recovery from him to be up inside the top 10 and maybe
Rizzo's around
in disguise.
Rizzo. Ross Rizzo has spun himself out of turn 7. He was side by side with Richard Hamstead as he was heading through the section. No contact between them. It was just a case of not having that balance, surely being caught all the way on that anti-cut curb on the inside there, Brenton.
Yeah, this is what we're talking about. See, Ross had a mistake not so long ago, and I only just mentioned it. One mistake can lead into another, and that's where we're at now. You tend to try and overdrive. So, you know, where you're losing seconds and seconds from a mistake, you're then trying to pick up half a tenth here, half a tenth there. The risk versus reward is not worth it. And again, you know, Ross has made that mistake, and all he's done is found himself get further down on the list.
He has, and now looking to get further down the list. Here is Mark Samuel, because here's Jake Maloney tucked up under the draft. Going to look down to the inside to try and make this move on the start of lap 25 of 32. And he gets the move done, and he gets it sorted. And Mark Samuel now has got to look behind, because Brett Loxton was trying to find a way to the inside. But that's some great heads-up driving by Mark Samuel. One thing you must do when you defend, use all of the road. And that is what, at a wide track like this at Barcelona, is so difficult. And Mark Samuel just did that absolutely perfectly, Ryan.
He did. That was a fantastic move for Samuel there. And now he's going to have Brett Loxton up in behind him too. I just got my words all sorts of mixed up. I was making a point on Rob Harris before Rizzo spun. I'll just finish that point off. that contact into the wall may have been a blessing in disguise because it forced him into pitting and taking fuel and tyres before the safety car. As a result, boosted him all the way up into 11th place. So, fantastic job from him. If he can finish around where he is right now, behind him he's got Harley Haber, and then in front of him, of course, this battle between Loxton and Mark Samuel. Maloney, who just went through in front of them. Now Samuel goes defensive into turn 10, and Loxton very late on the brakes, locked up the brakes, made a bit of a mistake and lost the time he gained. We'll have to sit back in behind him and think about turn 1.
Well, Harley Haber's just made a way through on Rob Harris, so he moves himself back up into 11th. Next up will be Brett Loxton. Mark Samuel will try and keep him back as much as possible. Next up for Maloney, though, Christian Smart and Steve Janssen, the two of them look to try and defend at the moment, but time is running out. There's 7 laps to go here in Barcelona, and it's still on for 4th. It's still on for 6th and 7th, and also so many more positions going on and changing at this point in time as Marlon McMullen just sits on the rear in 6th place, looking to get more consistent points. Not another podium, but again, consistent points. That has been the key to him leading the championship by so much when so many others, Brenton, have run into troubles. Every single time it has been Marlon McMullen finishes solidly inside the top 10.
Rumour has it that Marlon's won 21 championships of different variations. I've no clue. But the last lap, he's just done a 50-point flat. So 50.0. And Varga with a 50.5. So they're coming at Steve Varga, who has had some connection issues, to be said. But Steve Varga from 22nd up to 4th is an outstanding effort.
A door given to Mark Samuel by Brett Loxton. I think he may want to come back at him. Either that or let Harley go now to go out there and attack. And this may just be what he's going to try and do. He gets on the grass though, and he's made the contact. A mistake under brakes. He was too far right on the track. Caught the grass. Loxton gets a tap, and Loxton will think that's intentional after the door. I don't think it was. He just caught the grass, did Mark Samuel there, Ryan.
Oh, that was just absolutely perfect for Harley Haber. Here's the view from the chopper cam, out wide onto the grass. You cannot stop a 650 horsepower Australian touring car when you got 2 wheels on the grass, and 10 times out of 10 you're going to hit that car in front of you. Unfortunate there for Loxton and unfortunate for Samuel. Dream for Harley Haber though, he gains 2 spots without having to do anything.
And just like that, also going through is Jake Maloney on Christian Smart, gaining positions. Haber trying to ratchet down against everyone, and now Marlon McMullen senses it. People are trying to chase me down. I'm going to try and dive to the inside. Am I going to get cooperation from you, Damien Johnstone? He asks. Yes, he is. So down the inside, up into the top 5 goes Marlon McMullen, but he'll get no help from Stephen Varga in 4th position. He's Mark 1. He'll be trying to help Harley Haber, who's back there in 9th place, as much as possible, as Steve Janssen loses out to Jake Maloney now. Maloney gaining positions again and again. The top 3 pretty much unassailable at this point in time, but now it's a case of for minor positions, every point now mattering at the moment here, Brenton, and now every overtake becomes scrutinised just that little bit more.
Marlon's up to top 5, outstanding considering room. We have to remember lap 1 had engine problems, had to pit very, very early. Obviously would imagine he's probably pitted it on schedule about lap 11 as well, just before that safety car comes out. And that's where his big gain is, but now with the consistency, now with the championship in mind, he's not getting in any troubles. He's staying out in the clear. He's picking off the slower guys that have been in front of him. I would imagine in the next few laps he'll get past Steve Varga, and that would be it. Top 4 for Marlon. He would have taken that every day of the week considering what happened early.
He certainly will, but he's got to be careful about getting past Steve Varga because it is Mark 1 and already a half defensive line into the corner, not letting that corner be any opportunity to leave the door open there for Varga, says Stephen Varga to Marlon McMullen. I'm not leaving the door open for you at this juncture of the race, but keep an eye out on Janssen and Smart. Harley Haber's got to chase up to them at the moment. Last time by 1.6 seconds quicker than Christian Smart. Haber's got to keep on it because now look at this. Marlon McMullen picking up the run through the final corner and now immediately hard to the pit wall. goes one Stephen Varga. He makes sure that he cannot deal with anything. Now he's got to try and pinch back McMullen on the outside. McMullen will take to the racing line, and that I don't think was the best heads-up driving there from Varga. Wide, though, goes McMullen at turn 1. He went in too deep, and just like that position was there. I thought, Ryan, that Stephen Varga should have pinched maybe Marlon McMullen, stuck on the outside, given no room to turn in and hold the corner.
Yeah, that is a common tactic used in a number of series. Of course, you do have to make sure you read the rulebooks carefully for each particular series, because they vary differently. Some allow that move back to the racing line as long as you leave a car's width and don't block the other driver. Some series, though, will say that move that Varga made in defence to the right-hand side, that's all he can do. He can't then move back towards the racing line to squeeze McMullen out wide. So maybe Varga just erring on the side of caution there, not wanting to get a penalty, but in the end it works out for him because McMullen overcooked it, going wide further behind them. Is Harley Haber through on these guys, or is that this is further back? This is Jack Boyd contacting off into the grass. He's going to save it, though, and remain mostly on the track. He's going to lose out to Greg Sharp, though. That was incredibly lucky. The Mark 1 car I saw was actually Mark Samuel, not Harley Haber. This is a little bit further behind these guys, and that was all very lucky for Jack Boyd there.
Christian Smart to Harley Haber. Pass right-hand side, please, Harley. And that is Harley Haber being gifted a position by Christian Smart, who is not his teammate, mind you. So gone rogue. Gift Harley Haber a position. Will Steve Janssen be just as courteous and give him exactly the same back? That's the next question that needs to be asked. Maloney has caught the back of Johnstone, McMullen and Varga. And again, Stephen Varga hard to the inside, making life as difficult as possible for Marlon McMullen to get down and make the easy road to that inside. And again, a little bit here of Indiana Jones and defender of the lost corner from Stephen Varga. He will now put himself under pressure through all of 2 and now to 3 and 4. Is there a look down the inside? No door, no room left at the end there for McMullen through 3, Brenton.
Christian Smart was a lap down there, sorry, Jake, so he's actually just obeyed some blue flags. So that was not for position. No, it's all good, mate. It's not your first time. But so Marlon, it's just a matter. It's not a matter if it's a matter of when he passes, because Stephen's gonna. I've done enough laps with Stephen. Clean driver, does very good defense. There you go.
Oh, Marlon McMullen, big dive at turn 5. He's not got it fully sorted, though. And great run off of the exit there from Stephen Varga. Good heads-up driving. Defends it at turn 7. And he wants as many drivers in the train to harass as possible. He's trying to slow this group up as Harley Haber gets through just behind, as there's a crash in the middle of the field, and it has involved one of the ERT cars. I think that's Kyle Stokes, who's been caught up in that. So we'll get a West End Mazda instant replay. Oh, and that's the Stealth Simforce car coming together. I think that was Greg Sharp. And there's secondary contact on the exit there. Bang, into the wall. Not what you want to see at that point. But Harley Haber through on Janssen. Maloney diving down the inside now of Damian Johnstone, getting the position sorted. And now drivers are at crunch time here. It's 3 to go across the line, Ryan.
It is. Longer Varga holds up. There's only 3 to go. He's getting very close to the front end. Haber's gone by on Janssen. Haber's in this battle in just a few corners' time if Varga can go defensive again. And he could very well pinch a top 5 spot away here. Top 4 on the cards as they're going to be snaking down. And look, he wants to get to the inside. Varga's driving as close as he can to the inside white line. McMullen gets into the back of him.
Watch Maloney.
Gazing late on the brakes, and look at Maloney. Yes, Brenton, because he's made contact with McMullen. Haber's loving this when he's sat back and watching, and he's seeing his championship rival get beaten and banged and ping-ponged around right now, losing a spot to Maloney.
McMullen has lost his temper. He was not happy with Varga slowing down in the mid part of the apex to try and bring Harley Haber back in. Harley Haber is now in, and it is up to Harley now to make those positions. And McMullen trying to defend from Jake Maloney here. Can he shut the door at turn 5? Yes, he can. And Haber goes to the outside, trying to attack Damian Johnstone. Maloney picks the pocket, though, in the mid parts of the corner. And now they come together once as they now make their way through turn 6 and up to 7. Johnstone lifts out, and now they come together again, and the door's open, and Harley Haber's through, and McMullen will lose another position as well, as there goes Johnstone, and that championship lead now turns back to Harley Haber's favour. But let's not forget, there should be penalty points, and maybe even a race ban for Haber coming up as well. Haber making the best of a bad situation, Brenton, but Marlon McMullen got himself frustrated and then lost position.
Yep, one mistake compounds another. We've been saying it all along. This is where the interest is right now. Will Harley get past Jake Maloney? And knowing that there's a championship play, if he does make that move, and I'm not saying there's a guarantee there, but if he does get past Maloney, what does Stephen Varga do? Does he do the team thing and let Harley through? We're on lap 30, at the end of lap 30 of 32. A lot to play for here, but Jake looks pretty comfortable at the moment driving away from Harley.
He certainly does, and it very much is telling at the moment. McMullen's going to come straight back here at Damien Johnstone with 2 laps to go at Barcelona. This is why it was brought onto the iRacing service. It does things like this, and the move's done. Janssen was thinking about the move. Johnstone late on the brakes. Can't get it sorted. McMullen struggling through the mid part of the corner. And now Richard Hampstead is going to try and pick up a position on Janssen and try and look to the outside. Every which way you look, it's all about gain those positions. Maloney under pressure though, as Harley Haber again looks to attack, but Hampstead around the outside here, Ryan, trying to make sure that this one works, and he's got to do it the long Repsol turn 4, and I think he's just got it sorted. What a move from Hampstead.
That was great. You could be on the attack here for Damien Johnstone too. He's going to go to his outside for a much tighter corner. There's no way he gets this one pulled off. A bit wide through the middle of the corner. He's going to get the exit though that he needs on the run. But again, the wrong side of the corner. Oh, he's late on the brakes.
Wow.
Cleans him up. 2 moves on the outside for Richard Hampstead in the space of 3 corners. Next up is McMullen, who's hanging that car out sideways, coming into turn number 9. And now Hampstead's all over the back of him. He's got to run. And which way does he go, left or right? McMullen's going to drive it down the white line, leave no room for Hampstead. Hampstead still late on the brakes, still to the outside.
And Harley Haber as well was thinking on Maloney, couldn't get it. Now they're 3 wide behind McMullen, whose tyres, I think, have just gone as they head themselves through turn 12 to Europe car of 13 next. And then they've got themselves the chicane and one final revolution of this 4.65 kilometre, 16 turn track here at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, being led comprehensively at the moment by Jordan Ross by 4 seconds. At the moment here in this race, Maloney is chasing down Stephen Varga, who goes defensive down to the inside of the track, knowing that that is the only thing that he can do left. Play defensive, hope that he can hold up Maloney and give 1, maybe 2 positions to Harley Haber come the end. McMullen under pressure though. Here's Richard Hampstead moving to the outside to try and get his move sorted. Janssen behind can't quite get it, but Hampstead inside line for turn number 2 gets the move done and moves himself now up into 7th place with a fantastic move. Hampstead has really come on strong in the latter stages of this race for Trans-Tasman. Just like that, Damien Johnstone now will try and be next in terms of the battle, as Haber all over the back now here of Jake Maloney needs to try and think about, where do I pick up this move? If I lunge at 5, I might not get the run at 7 and 8, and I might not even get a chance at turn 10, but he needs the help from Varga, which isn't quite there at the moment. Up the hill they rise to 7 and 8 once again, and still Harley Haber needs to find the move that gets him up into the top 5. It's not forthcoming at the moment. The train behind, McMullen still holding his position. He'll be very happy with the way that he is running at the moment. Varga still trying to get himself out of the toe as much as possible. It's been a great drive from the 868, who hits the brakes so early to try to manufacture it. Haber dives down the inside and tries to pick up the move, and there's almost a turn from Maloney as he'll pick up the run. Jordan Ross though will round the final corner, will cross the start finish line, and will win here at Barcelona to keep championship hopes alive. Harley Haber still can't find the way to get through. He's got to lunge now here at this section of track, and he's going to try and open it up for a last corner lunge. And can he get the run sorted? No, he cannot. Tom Freer ends up with 2nd. Corey Preston a well-deserved 3rd. Stephen Varga will come home with 4th place over the line, or will he? Yes, I think he just about did. So Varga gets 4th, Maloney 5th, Harley Haber only 6th place, but crucially, Marlon McMullen fades to 8th come the end, and he gives a big line to Stephen Varga to say, that was not cool, Sonny Jim. I'm not happy with you. So that There is some magical racing, and this is why AOSC is AOSC, Brenton.
Wow, that was all happening, wasn't it? Right from the get-go all the way to the finish. Some outstanding driving, some outstanding battles, mixed in with some pretty ordinary stuff, it has to be said. The stewards will have some fun with that during the week, no doubt, and that'll be a conversation point. But Jordan Ross, we called it pretty early. Like, he's going to be back in form. He can work on his own sets. The enduros are all finished. He really showed what he's been able to do in previous years. Yeah, in the end, quite dominant. But let's not wash away what Tom Freer did. This is a real red letter day for that team. Second in an AOSC race is a fantastic result for that team and an outstanding effort for Tom personally. And my old mate Corey Preston, you have to give credit where credit's due. I don't think he made a mistake, kept the car absolutely clean from 16th on the grid up into a podium. Fantastic job. And the racing behind that, oh, look, like I said, there'll be questions asked. There was some great racing, but let's see what the stewards have to decide.
They have to decide a fair bit, but currently classified results, they are as follows. Jordan Ross then picks up the win in 1 hour, 1 minute and 33 seconds. His margin of victory, 4.3 in the end, over Team Hyperdrive's Tom Freer with a fantastic solo performance, his best to date in terms of sprint racing here in AOSC. Corey Preston for Exto Gaming picks up a magnificent podium by his standards, a real confidence booster heading into the latter half of 2019. Stephen Varga would pick up 4th place in the end, but he'd try every which way to help his teammates behind him. Jake Maloney made great progress in the second half of the race. He got himself a top 5 for his troubles. Harley Haber, he made friends with a lot of people. He might have to make friends with the stewards as well this afternoon, because that is a 6th place finish for him overall, with Richard Hamstead managing a magnificent second half of the race to get himself up to 7th. It's 8th place in the end for Marlon McMullen, 9th to 16th with Ryan Jones.
Damien Johnstone came home in 9th place ahead of Brett Loxton, who rounded out that top 10. Steve Jansen, we saw him in a few battles today in 11th, had a Rob Harris, who recovered from contact, spitting into the wall to come home in 12th. Jack Boyd again in the wars, 13th. Matt Morris, didn't see much of him, but he finished in 14th. They had Jeremy McKnight, who came up from 31st on the grid to finish in 15th. Great drive from him. Jet Bennett finished in 16th place.
And then from 17th to 24th, it's Brenton O'Brien.
David Kimman brings up 17th in front of Jamie Stovall, Mark Samuel. Yeah, it's an interesting night for Mark 1. They put their mark on the race for sure. Shane Evans, Chris Barnes, Ian Bird, Nick Colson, Jack Witters, and Ross Rizzo, who had a few dramas, came into the commentary booth, which was good enough for him to explain how his race was going. 25th position.
Well, you keep looking at how that's good. Ross Rizzo we've seen in 25th, so Simon Vella gets 26th overall. Scott Gamble, 27th overall, with Lindsay Hobbs down in 28th. Andrew Gilliam, big shock down the order, 29th, got turned by Haber. Will have a lot to say as their relationship continues to sour. Scott Clark rounds the top 30. Alan Dawson gets himself 31st. Matthew Deere was up inside the top 10 when the safety car was coming into pit road. He can only manage himself a minute off the pace in 32nd though here, Ryan.
Terence Stannett was home in 33rd ahead of Matthew Norris. 35th place, I want to give a shout out to Cruz McVie. He's been on iRacing for less than 1 month. Just a couple of weeks, finishing on the lead lap in AOSC. Great effort. Wayne Taylor, 36th. Blair Walton, home in 37th ahead of Mark Dial. Christian Smart, Kyle Stokes rounding out the top 40.
And then
Greg
I'll just get you...
Yeah,
no,
Greg.
don't worry, I'll let... After you, sir.
Sorry, sir. Kyle Stokes is going to turn religious after that. He had an absolute nightmare. From the non-finishers, Henry King, Michael Talancic went out very, very early. Nick Hausler. And then Thomas Cool, Craig Jones, James Scott. We saw the dramas before him. Shane Rayner, Sean Thompson, again, got taken out pretty early. And Scotty O'Keefe will bring up the tail of the field.
And those are 50 drivers who have found themselves over towards the end of racing. We do have drivers awaiting interview. First and foremost, let's talk to Tom Freer, who comes home in 2nd place overall. Tom, that is the coming of age drive that we were looking for. You've always shown that you've got pace, that you've got potential. We've been waiting to see it bloom into fruition. Team Hyperdrive have a podium, and a strong podium at that.
Yeah, I was a bit shocked actually in the end. I didn't expect the caution to come out when it did, so got a little bit lucky, but just really happy to bring it home.
Well, very happy to bring it home. Let's talk about the early stages. Didn't necessarily have the pace compared to the rivals in front of you, but an early safety car coming out, your decision to pit early. We've seen how a couple of times this season you've been caught out pitting on the same lap as the safety car comes out, getting caught down in pit road. How good is it to actually get a safety car to fall in your favour and to really be able to build a second half of a race instead of having to recover for it?
Yeah, it was a good feeling. Obviously, it's probably the first time this season we've managed to nail the safety car. Just unfortunate we had nothing to hold on to Jordan in the end, but yeah, it is what it is. Extremely happy for everyone in Hyperdrive, and yeah, just absolutely stoked.
2 weeks' time, we head to Interlagos for what is the fourth to last round of the season, a 150 sprint. So Interlagos, a track that a lot of drivers know very well, a beautiful racing track, able to battle for upwards of half a lap side by side, a full lap if you're incredibly brave. So a track which really does open the overtaking opportunities. How do you feel Interlagos is going to play after coming out here at Catalunya?
Interlagos definitely isn't one of my strong tracks, so we'll have to put in a lot of work for that one. Yeah, hopefully we can come away with something from there and back up this week. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Anything can happen, obviously.
And before we let you go, Tom, any shout-outs, any sponsors, anyone you'd like to thank for your second-place victory for Team Hyperdrive?
Yeah, just a massive thank you to CalStars. Their support this season has been absolutely brilliant. Also, Force X Design and Sixth Gear Imagery. It's been a pleasure to have them aboard and look forward to the future.
Well, a great result for Tom Freer, second place finish overall from him. But Ryan, final thoughts as we bring proceedings to a close here from this magical Circuit de Catalunya.
That was a interesting race. There was a lot of fantastic racing and side-by-side action, but there was also quite a lot of clumsy maneuvers and overtaking happening. Don't know whether that was just partly down to it being the first time we've seen these cars on this track for a lot of these drivers, or whether it's down to just the mood in the air tonight. But either way, it was a little bit messy, and hopefully they'll clean it up for next time, because I'm sure AOSC will be back stronger than ever next time out with some great clean racing and more fantastic action.
And we'll see that action in 2 weeks' time here for the Interlagos 150 with the Parramatta Isuzu Ute AOSC Championship. A massive thanks, though, to everyone who gets it done for us. A massive thanks has to go, of course, to West End Mazda, who have been there on the replays for us, as well as the main title sponsor, Parramatta Isuzu Ute. And from Ryan Jones on my right-hand side, Brenton O'Brien joining in with us for this round on my left, and Jay Kennedy, who has been fantastic on the cameras. I've been Jake Sperry, and Jordan Ross will feel like his championship is starting to come back together again, as it very much did 1 season ago. He's managing to claw back those points, not just by little chunks here and there, but by fistful after fistful, and every handful is going to be very much a worry for McMullen as this championship goes on. Haber's got himself in a bit of hot water, but we'll see how he escapes as we head to Interlagos, which of course always means that a party is not too far away. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time at Interlagos.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rid of the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my god! Oh! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?